Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Threpticon. Today, we're going to talk about a very important figure in the 20th century, at the very beginning of the 21st century, named Dick Gregory. He was a comedian, he was an activist, he was a vegan. Here's a brief biography. He was born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1932. He later became the father of 11 children. However, he was raised in poverty, though he excelled at running. His talent for running won him a track scholarship to Southern Illinois University. Later, he became a comedian, performing in nightclubs in Chicago. Then, he became an activist, traveling back and forth to the South during the Civil Rights Movement. At a certain point, though, his health was suffering. He was overweight. He was almost 300 pounds, and he's not a very tall man. And then he cut out animal products and then regained his health. During the Vietnam War, he was an activist, and he protested with prolonged fasting and juice fasting. He was thrown in prison several times in which he did water-only fasting. But he said, I'm not going to eat any solid food until this war is over. Later in the 1980s and beyond, he became an entrepreneur selling health elixirs, weight loss products, etc. And then he died in Washington, D.C. in 2017. So he didn't come up with all these ideas on his own. He had an inspiration. In fact, there was a nutritionist and a naturopath who had a health food store named Dr. Alvenia Fulton. And she was the author of several books on fasting, and she was the host of a radio show, The Joy of Living, and she inspired Dick Gregory, and then together they co-authored a book, Vegetarianism, Fact or Myth. Here he describes the encounter with Dr. Fulton. She invited us in and immediately began doing what she loved most, sharing her vast knowledge about food and nutrition. I listened, but I wasn't buying any of it. No milk. Anyone with an ounce of sense knew that milk builds strong bones. No white bread. Come on, lady, I thought to myself. Everybody and their mama knows that Wonder Bread builds bodies 8 ways. For everything she said, I had an answer. I was always told that vitamins make you fat, and here this lady was telling me to take vitamins when I knew I needed to lose some pounds. I really thought she had it backwards when she started talking about fasting, going without food for more than a couple hours. So at first, this shows his resistance. He was resistant to all these new ideas, and it shows how he had been conditioned. He thought in his head, milk builds strong bones. They have the same advertising slogan even today. There's people who think that old ladies drinking milk, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to save my bones." It's ridiculous. And then same with products like white bread. Trying advertising, trying to convince you that it's healthy. It builds you up. No, it's not the case. And here's an interview from way back when, from 1972. He talks briefly about his ethical choice, talking about nonviolence, all right? So the United States Constitution tells me I have a right to have a gun in my house and blow your brains out if you enter. Now, I don't believe that I have a right to kill you under any circumstance. I'm also a vegetarian. I would never knock a steak off your plate. Don't want you putting no pork chops on mine. In a violent nation, I think it's normal for people to be reacting violently. So this shows, for Dick Gregory, that all sorts of violence to fellow man, to other human beings, violence to animals, it's all part of the same social problem, violence, aggression, and he doesn't want any part of it. And then here he talks about his diet. This is the same interview, 1972. The interviewer asks him, "Oh, I heard you're eating raw fruits and vegetables." And Dick Gregory says, "No, in fact, I'm a fruitarian. Haven't eaten vegetables in 2 years. For the last 14 months, I've been taking fruit juices and water, nothing solid to eat at all." So this shows his diet preferences. He enjoyed primarily fruit, and in the 70s, he was pretty much just drinking juice. That was it. Later, he developed some other formulas, let's say. Um, so anyway, let me try to get the page of the book because the little picture is covering up some of these words here. I don't want to miss anything. All right. So here, this is written by his son in this wonderful book, Essential Dick Gregory. It's my source material for today for this brief intro. So his son is describing very briefly, very concisely, his father's beginnings into the diet industry and his success there. So at the peak of his comedic career, Gregory's lifestyle of smoking, drinking, and eating the wrong foods resulted in ulcers and headaches. And at 288 pounds, he was grossly overweight. Determined to achieve optimal health, Gregory turned to veganism and devised a nutritional plan that included a supplement he created called the 4X formula. In 1972, he ran 50 miles a day for 71 days, 7 million steps, from Los Angeles to New York, sustained only by his 4X formula and juice. The formula evolved into Dick Gregory's slim, safe Bahamian diet, with sales exceeding 113 million in just 2 years. In 1989, he purchased a beachfront hotel in Florida to use as a health, nutrition, and weight loss center. The Bahamian diet was the longest running product for General Nutrition Center in the 1980s. Thousands of multi-level distributors were employed by Dick Gregory Health Enterprises, Inc. His ultimate goals were to teach health and financial independence. So this is fascinating. Especially this athletic feat that he undertook. I mean, 50 miles a day, that's over 100,000 steps a day. Like it says here, 7 million steps from Los Angeles to New York, 3,000 miles. He ran that drinking juice, just drinking juice and eating this formula of his own devising, which he later turned into, I guess he reckoned, if I can take it and it'll make me strong, people can also take it and make them lose weight, the sort of double value of a certain, high nutrition foods. Either it can make you stronger or it can make you lose weight as well, depending on your goals. And then the other thing about Dick Gregory is he wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty in business. I mean, the man knew how to make money. I mean, like it says, $113 million into his time. And then this shows a little bit of his weight loss transformation. Definitely not at his heaviest here, but you can see he's in the center here. He's a little, maybe slightly overweight. And then here, several years later, where he's running. This is when he's running across America, right next to Muhammad Ali here. He's very thin, he lost a lot of weight, but he was still healthy, right? He was still active, he was still athletic. Um, so yeah, he came up with this diet formula, the Bahamian diet, nutritional drink, slim, safe nutritional drink, and it's no longer on the market. If it was, I would buy it, I would try it. I mean, it seems great. But from what I can ascertain, and he describes it here in this book, the Essential Dick Gregory, it's being talked about. Basically, he's singing the praises of kelp, seaweed, and then I tried to find what other ingredients were in here: rice powder, protein powders, flaxseed, the omega-3 kind of thing, various plant extracts for flavor and medicinal purposes. But anyway, like I said, if I could find it, I would, but I can't anymore. So in conclusion, Dick Gregory, in my opinion, is one of the greatest vegans, one of the greatest animal activists of the 20th century. This certainly won't be the last video. I mean, I could do a whole series of videos on this man. I mean, he was a multifaceted Renaissance man. He was an entrepreneur. He was an activist. He was a comedian. He was everything. And then the source material is this book, and I recommend it. The Essential Dick Gregory, edited by Christian Gregory, published in 2022. All right. Thank you all very much. And if you enjoyed it, please, like it. You can subscribe. You can comment. Just let me know. All right. Have a wonderful day. See you later.